A very tough earned game. I mean, watching St. John's on film, and I told our team in the locker room, if you look at their game at Creighton, one of the better teams in the league, at least to this point. It's a one-possession game. Virtually St. John's winning the whole game. Their last game against Villanova, it's a 4-point game with like 2 minutes to go. And they did the same thing when they were at Seton Hall. And, those are three teams that have had a lot of success in this league over the last few years. So, you always worry about your own team looking at records and thinking that it's going to be easier than it is. But we knew, the coaching staff knew, and I think our older guys knew that it was going to be a tough game. And they had a couple players step up that quite honestly hadn't scored as much as they did tonight. And, I thought our defense was average, but picked up in the last 7 minutes. And I thought that became the difference in the game. We finally got some stops and we were able to get some separation. So, Karen played his best game in his Xavier uniform. I thought Trayvon and JP played extremely well, and Najee gives us a different presence on the defensive end. And Kaiser has really embraced coming off the bench, and I don't mean embrace like he's happy about it. I really don't know, nor do I really care. I just care about him giving his best effort, and he's done that the last 2 games, and he's been very effective for us. So, good win.
Now that 203 is here, how do you feel about it? Any differently?
No, not really. I mean, again, I think been around the program a long time. Most of those guys have coached with or played for. So, it's humbling. It really is. When I first became the head coach at Xavier, I didn't think about that at all, and quite honestly, I didn't think about it yesterday. You worry about the next game or the next day, and I'm not one of those guys that has these long-term goals and aspirations. Maybe I should be, but it's just, what do we got to do tomorrow?
Yeah, to see the reaction from the fans and to see what it means to other people other than yourself, including your current players who are watching the ceremony there. Is that, like Marvin Lewis, the athletic department is sending out video messages right now, and guys like Marvin Lewis, I know that people that you're cool with in the community.
Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh?
It's cool, man. I grew up, I was this tall, man. I was getting Anthony Munoz collective posters at Shell gas station when I was 7 years old, riding my bike up. So when the Bengals head coach sends a message, that's cool. So,
well, you kind of beat me to the question a little bit, but you said you're humbled. Is that kind of attention uncomfortable for you?
It's a little embarrassing, to be honest with you. As I said before, I think your players, those guys are the ones making baskets, giving up baskets tonight, getting the rebounds, and I'm just very blessed to be the head coach. I'm really honored. How many guys get an opportunity to be at the place that they wore the uniform, and I didn't have much of an impact as a player, I think because of injuries, but if I've made an impact here on guys that I've coached and we've won some games, then yeah, I'm proud. But I'm not proud of the record. I'm just proud to be the head coach.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Chris, the stretch out of maybe the first 10 minutes or so of the second half where St. John's felt like they were hitting everything.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you guys let up during that stretch, or did you feel like they just got hot and you had to ride it out?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of both, but I thought a few times that we went to the zone, we gave up the look that we want to. When you're in a zone, for the most part, guys are going to take jump shots. You do that so that you clog the lane. They don't get easy layups. And Marvin Clark, give him credit. He catches the ball 16, 17 feet. He eyes up our center. We have everybody else covered. 1 second on the shot clock, and he's knocking shots down and forces us to go back to man. And so a guy like Justin Simon, who hasn't shot the ball outside of 9 feet on film, goes for whatever he did, 26, 28 points. So, part of it's our defense. I thought part of it, just the fact that St. John's got some fighters and some talent, and it showed tonight.
I know you'll never be happy with the defense, but do you feel like you guys are progressing on that side of the ball as the season continues?
I do. I think, when we play with an energy about us, we can be pretty good. We struggle with small guards. I mean, it's just what it is. And maybe I got to figure out something on schematically, but we struggle with small guards. You know, it's why Villanova at times had our number, and why Arizona State took us to the woodshed. Shamari Pons. I mean, it's tough. You know, so but we've won some games too. So.
Chris, there was a kind of a weird sequence in the first half where Bashir Ahmed fouled JP, but then there was a long video review, and the officials talked to you and Coach Mullen. What was said during that point? And
it was like there's a Zapruder film. They couldn't determine what happened, so they just said no foul.
Have you seen anything like that before? It seemed very odd.
No, I asked the official, is that legal? And he said yes. And so, I mean, he could have said no or yes, and I wouldn't have known, you know, so I just sort of looked at him really meanly and said, you better make sure that's legal. So.
You had talked a little bit about Kaiser, and he seemed, you know, Owens had 4 blocks, and Kaiser got the brunt of that, it seemed like, but he was so resilient with it, and he didn't let it stop him or, you know, deter him from going back up. You know, what were your impressions of him being able to kind of just show that?
I think Kaiser's done that the last 2 games. I think he's played with a bounce and an energy that our team needs. Guy comes off the bench and, you know, provides energy and a spark, and he's a great defender, and it's good to see him go as aggressively to the basket as he did. You know, we needed to shot fake more. It's a little frustrating because we talked to our bigs for a couple of days leading up. I mean, Coach Mike could have done more shot fake step-through drills to only have, you know, 2 or 3 of our interior shots blocked without a shot fake. But, you know, it's what St. John's does. I mean, they've got makeup ability that a lot of teams in this country don't have. You know, Tariq Owens is a really good shot blocker. He's long. He's got great timing. He's athletic. That's just the way they play. So hopefully the next time we face them, you know, we'll learn from the first time.
Chris, I wanted to ask you about passing. There were 23 assists on 31 field goals tonight. I know that doesn't tell the whole story about passing, obviously, but how proud of you are with the team where they're at with that aspect of the collective game?
Yeah, man, I think we moved the ball well. You know, I think we have a senior All-American that isn't a pig. You know, doesn't take bad shots and doesn't look at me sideways in the huddle if he hasn't shot the ball in 4 or 5 minutes. And I've had guys that with a lot lesser ability that wouldn't have that attitude. And you know, I think he's fun to coach because of that. You know, but all our guys make the right play or want to make the right play. Even some of the turnovers we had. They were turnovers that we were trying to find an open teammate. Just give St. John's credit. They're long, they're athletic, they anticipate well, they play passing lanes, and we don't. We don't do that. So every day in practice, we're not used to it. But I thought we moved it well enough. I mean, we scored 90 points on what I think is the 2nd or 3rd best defensive team in our league.